Wow. It seems like the New York Times just exposed a major false flag that was supposed to ramp up support for a war. I don't know about you, Jason, but I'm astonished as anyone here, as of course we saw very strong talking points about an incident that happened on the Venezuelan Colombian border not so long ago that we were calling out on this YouTube channel. It now seems that the New York Times has confirmed our original reporting and is now saying that there's footage that contradicts a U.S. claim that Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, burned down aid trucks during this massive PR event with no one other than Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson, Marco Rubio, and then a president that declared himself president, and other warmongers, along with the mainstream media, were pushing on you. A major, major lie that has been exposed. And it was exposed by a lot of independent people, a lot of people who were actually paying attention and saw that on the ground during this massive PR operation, where, of course, people tried to ship in aid into Venezuela, that these trucks were burned down and lit on fire. We, of course, reported here and saw here on the ground the people on the Colombian side throwing Molotov cocktails, running around with gas canisters, and of course, Molotov cocktails landing, thrown from the Colombian side directly onto the aid trucks, which of course now, I mean, it should say something that it took this long, but it should be also praised that this is finally happening. But the New York Times came out and exposed and talked about in great detail how the Colombian government released footage and edited out specific footage that saw the trucks lit on fire. Again, spreading a very dangerous conspiracy theory, a false flag that was surely meant as propaganda purposes to, of course, push for a bigger war. And again, this lie was perpetrated by the U.S. Regime, by U.S. government officials, Trump's administration. Vice President Mike Pence even tweeted that the tyrants of Caracas danced as his henchmen burned food and medicine, which, of course, is an absolute lie. CNN claimed with their own eyes that Maduro's forces set humanitarian trucks on fire and cried how possible that this could be done when the country is starving. The Times also contacted Marco Rubio, who has been the biggest proponent of U.S. military intervention in Venezuela, and asked him about this specific statement, which he again reiterated just his insanity, talking about how Maduro still somehow bears full responsibility for the destructions of these trucks, even though there's plain video footage, Jason, that we were calling out, that finally the New York Times corroborates and adds the details that it was the Colombian government that edited out this important footage. What do you make of all of this? Because this is huge that the New York Times is admitting it to this very important event.
Well, I think it's positive that the Times has done the story. I also want to point out that when you say false flag, this is a little bit different. This is kind of almost like taking advantage of something after the fact. It wasn't the government sending a protester there to do this. No. We're going to show the footage and break it down, but essentially you had a guy lobbing Molotov cocktails, and while he lobbed one of them, we just showed the footage several times, one of the rags comes out of the Molotov cocktail, shoots over to the right-hand side, and catches the initial truck on fire. Now, what we're going to show you right here in this article, we're just going to play it without the audio. You can clearly see there's a lot going on here, and there's that. But what they're
and people here need to realize again, they ran a false narrative. They said something happened that it didn't happen to galvanize war. But people need to understand here, there was violent factions on both sides. There was pro-Maduro people on parts of the border that were also throwing rocks against the Colombian side that was allegedly trying to bring in aid. And there's documented video footage of Molotov cocktails being thrown from that Colombian side, which, of course, this video is showing here. Go on, Jason.
And right here, if you look up at the top corner, what they were showing you was a jump in the timestamp of 13 minutes. So they basically jumped to where the fire is already there. See, now it's 13:52, 13 minutes later, and that's where the fire starts. Now, The media loves to run with a false narrative when they are trying to invade in a country, but now you can see the side-by-side footage from the earlier protester who's lobbing Molotov cocktails with the footage of when he actually lobs the cocktail. Here it comes. They focus right in, and it splits off right there. And it splits off. And, of course, that is how the fire started. Had we had an honest media, they would have said these trucks erupted in fire when Colombians protesting lobbed Molotov cocktails at the police. And listen, I'm not trying to endorse the police state or endorse Maduro here. I think that we should have peaceful protests. Obviously, this has been galvanized to a point where if you're against this aid, you are pro-Maduro, you're pro-Satan, you're pro-like communism. You hate the people of Venezuela, according to our media. But the truth is, Luke, that there are people in this country that want Maduro to remain the president. Is that not so?
Yeah, there's people who support him, and they support him because of the long U.S. history of military intervention and of meddling, of overthrowing leaders in Latin America that the Venezuelan people are awake to, that they understand is happening, and they don't want it to happen. They don't want to become a banana republic. They don't want to be saved. There are factions that do support Maduro. There's also large other factions that do not support Maduro and want a change of government. Now, Maduro has also had an open border policy. 3 million Venezuelans have left that country to seek better opportunities, to seek a better life outside of it, which makes the possibility of a revolution happening in that country very unlikely. And people need to understand it. Now, we were reporting on this for a week, like a week ago. I mean, it wasn't that difficult to find out. There's videos that galvanized hundreds of thousands of views with this happening, saying, hey, there's no real footage of the National Guard of Venezuela burning these trucks down. Can we not just spread this bigger lie? I mean, I was at CPAC, and people were just ushering this lie, how horrible Maduro is. Now, Maduro is horrible, but let's not lie about it, because when you do, you delegitimize any legitimate criticism against him, and you hurt the chances of actually having something positive happening in that country where people could stand up. Because, again, now the people who support him are going to be like, yeah, you guys are all just liars, proven by this evidence. And you don't need to play dirty tricks. You just need to be honest with people, because, again, Maduro's policies are failed. He is a horrible manager. The bureaucratic, socialistic government that exists in Venezuela is absolutely asinine. Caracas, murder capital of the world. Literally, when I was there, we did on-the-ground reporting, is mostly concerned about no smoking areas and gun-free zones, to even where private security guards that many times can't even defend themselves or have guns to defend themselves or other businesses. An absolutely insane situation where there's walls with every restaurant or business you go into, a full wall dedicated to all the permits and permissions. Again, there's a lot of things I could criticize Maduro on, not only his empanada and hanging out with Salt Bay, but let's not be dishonest here and write on for the New York Times for finally calling this out. I mean, it's been over a week, Jason. I'm trying to look at the video where we broke this down, because we were talking about this. I'm trying to find the exact date here. It's a little bit difficult to find, but over a week ago, we've documented this video footage. And again, it's absolutely crazy, absolutely asinine, and big on the New York Times for finally admitting this larger talking point to be absolutely incorrect.
And by the way, I want to point out who edited this video to show you the turmoil that's actually going on in Venezuela. This came out from the Colombian government. So the Colombian government is actively participating in this attempt to overthrow Maduro. That's what they would like to see.
And so is Mike Pence, so is Rubio, and so is CNN that perpetrated this bigger lie.
And, you know, you talked about, hey, don't they understand there's video footage? Apparently, 2019 is the year where video footage and evidence doesn't matter. We've seen this with the Covington kids. I mean, they ran with that narrative forever. You know, they ran with
At first it didn't matter. Now it does matter. And now the Covington kids are suing, what was it, the Washington Post and CNN for $250 million?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess it doesn't matter initially, maybe a couple weeks down the line or a month down the line, it matters. It's kind of like even the Jussie Smollett case. We had that CCTV footage of the people with the hoods up, coming to go get him. Now that kind of contradicted right there that it was white guys with bleach in MAGA hats getting ready to do the business. But we all ignored that footage and let the media go on a rampage until the police came out and said, yeah, no, the actual video footage that we have is them buying all this material, and they happen to be two jacked Nigerian dudes. So I guess 2019 is the year of video footage mattering 2 to 3 weeks too late.
Yeah, and false narratives and false flags being called out for what they are, just narratives to push a bigger agenda. Don't believe anyone, guys. Don't question reality. That's what we preach here. No one is ever 100% right, 100% accurate. Again, all these major news organizations need to be called out, especially CNN, for their warmongering. It's pretty apparent who they work for and who they serve. And big on the New York Times. I mean, they interviewed me a couple times and have been fair. I mean, they did hire that crazy racist Asian person. But other than that, let's call a spade for what it is and actually give props to the New York Times. That's my take on it. Jason, if you have something else to say, feel free to interrupt me at any time, but that's our take. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And once again, thank you for being a part of a real independent media venture that likes to actually look at evidence and not wait 2 weeks to tell you, hey, there's two sides of the story here, which are absolutely important for you to understand. If you agree, subscribe, click the notification button, and don't forget to vote with your support. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/WeAreChange.